so I was born in Romania, came here when I was 6 years old, and the city of Bucharest is divided into sectors. So during the time, it was still during the Cold War.
Were you from Bucharest?
Yes.
Okay.
So so I was born in Sector 5 of the city.
There it is.
So that's where the Sector 5 Productions, the business name, came from.
Sure.
And it was still communist and still during the Cold War thing. So that's where the whole gas mask with the lens diaphragm in the middle kind of came about, was to give it that Cold War feel. So at the time...
Okay, so it's a little Cold War, and then the lens is a shutter then?
Yes.
Okay, gotcha.
And so that's where, by having that, I had done like some old school propaganda looking posters, but with the logo on it.
Sure.
So it kind of like fit that whole thing. I still have some around the house somewhere. But that was kind of the feel. And then at the time, I was also... Because, I did under Levy Moroshan photography for like a bunch of years.
Right.
Until I got more serious about it, and then it became a business.
Yeah.
And so at that point, too, I was working for a lot of video game companies. And so the logo and everything kind of fit with everything I was doing.
Right.
And so I was like, and it became fairly recognizable. Like, people know.
Let me work with the gas mask guy.
Yeah. So they'll know the logo.
Right.
And so, I try and brand it the same on social media and stuff, so that it's kind of recognizable when somebody goes to it. And that's what I kind of wanted, is having something where it had the kind of iconic look to it, and kind of simple, so that it would be easily recognizable, over time especially.
So as an entrepreneur, what are some of the things that you've done in business building, right? You said you were kind of Levy Moroshan, and then you switched it over into Sector 5.
Yeah.
Was that a different business structure? What about like accounting kind of stuff? Do you work with a lot of different people, or are you kind of like the one-man shop and you're doing all of it? Or?
No, like I have a CPA that does certain things. When I have commercial retouching, I have a guy, Damien in New York, who does retouching for me. I try and do my own portrait retouching because I want the feel that I want for that person. But then that transition happened because, one, I was making better money, so I needed to be smarter about it.
Right.
And then I also needed to be able to start taking deductions for expenses that I was spending, because it was, it's an expensive hobby, and then it's an expensive occupation.
Yeah, you got a lot of gear.
Yeah, and especially because, to an extent, you're trying to kind of, new things come out all the time, and I'm not a big believer in upgrading my gear all the time, so I'll wait until there's like something, either I need it for work. Like when I switched to Sony from Canon, it was because Sony was the camera that had a complete silent shutter. And so when I work on set, you have a blimp around your camera, if you have a regular camera, to muffle the noise or to silence it when you're on set.
Oh, wow.
With Sony, you can turn all that off because it's mirrorless,
right? So
there's no shutter. It's got an electronic shutter.
Right.
And so there's no noise at all. So I don't have to wear a blimp around it anymore.
Wow.
So it's way more comfortable.
Is that like a kind of a furry...
It's just a big... It's actually a big box.
Okay.
That's padded all the inside.
Okay.
And you have a different lens mount depending on the type of lens you're using.
Okay.
But like all the buttons then have like extensions through the case. So it's specific to the camera model.
Is that for BTS or is that just...
No, it's for BTS.
Right.
So it's strictly for set photography. And... it's just cumbersome, and it's huge, and
I can imagine.
Hated it. Yeah, I hated it.
I mean, anything that you're working not with the actual equipment, that's going to be unique and different. And...
Exactly. And so then when Sony had come about, I was like, yeah, this is it. So
interesting.
That's why. So I switched to Sony almost out of necessity.
Right.
And so the other thing is, I will skip generations of cameras unless a feature comes out that I know will like change my workflow or change something in the way I shoot for the better. Then I will upgrade. Most of the time, I never upgrade lenses because I like them. I learn their characteristics,
and
then I stick with
analog,
them.
So they're not going
exactly.
to,